Hey there, this is Beth, your sweet urban living lady, and this time through our YouTube and our podcast on Sweet Urban Living, we are going through a series that I have called The Healer's Journey. Now, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the guests that I'm inviting on are not calling themselves healers. I'm not a healer. God is our healer. Jesus is our healer, and He created our bodies to heal when we give it the right conditions, the right foods, and the right supplements. And so I just want to make sure that we understand that right off the bat, because we're not the ones doing healing, but we've been on a healing journey. Many of us have. And I'm just inviting people in my community who have overcome struggles, who have gone through the tough places, and who have, we can say overcome and still know that we're walking the process. We're still on the journey ourselves. And I just want to welcome a very special guest today. Priscilla Bill is joining me today, and I'm so glad to have her with me on the show. Priscilla, you've been through a journey yourself. Is that right?
Yes. And thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. So let me just tell y'all a little bit about Priscilla. Priscilla is a naturopathic doctor and certified health coach through Trinity School of Natural Health and licensed with the Guardian Ecclesiastical Holistic Association. She loves what she does, coaching people to make the best choices according to their specific body type. Health and wellness is her forever passion. Personal experience in overcoming her own past health challenges has forever changed her life and proven that daily healthy choices in diet and lifestyle, along with supplementation that is specific to your body type, can create great strides in overall health and wellness. And Priscilla, you said you're excited to share your story and the opportunity to relate your journey to us. And, you mentioned in the bio that I shared a couple of times something about specifically to the person's body type and what they need. So as we go through that, I'd really, as you share your story, would you kind of expound on that and what you mean by that too?
Sure. So when I was 13 years old, I developed a rather concerning cyst in my breast, and it was red and hot to the touch. I was very scared and sitting on the edge of my bed crying, and my mom came and she put her arms around me and she's like, "It's going to be okay." She was like, "I'm going to take you to a naturopath and it'll be fine," and stuff. I'm sure she prayed with me and stuff. And so we went, and I just remember those feelings, though, of being very scared and not knowing what is going on with my body. And so we went there, and she was able to help me. She gave me the help that I needed. And it was just a swollen lymph gland is all it was. And she was able to massage it out. And I'm sure she got me on some herbs and stuff and everything. But while she was massaging me and everything, she was telling us about her school and stuff, and she's the reason why I became a naturopath. So I was just, after that appointment, that was kind of the point where I was just like, I knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. I did not like living in fear and stuff, and I struggled a lot as a young person with fear and stuff of the unknown and everything.
Yeah.
So I really had that, developed that heart for not only for myself, but for my family, and just understanding what the body's doing and why and all those sorts of things. And
Yeah,
yeah.
so you were 13. You're 13 years old, and, tell me what was going on in your mind, if you don't mind sharing a little bit. At 13, were you thinking like cancer? Were you thinking, did you know that it might be something really serious and that's what caused it? Or was it painful?
Yeah, it was very painful. And that was the scary part. At that time, too, we were hearing about a lot of my mom and dad's friends that were dying of cancer and stuff. And so, yeah, that was the big part of my fear was, what's going to happen to me, and what's going on with my body. And, it all happened like super fast, too. I think I just woke up with it that way.
So, and I'm sure that having that massaged, that's a very tender part of the body. And then to have it
Yeah.
already in pain and massage, I know that was painful too. But I have to say that knowing that there are natural remedies and alternatives and ways of dealing with a clogged lymph node is actually really encouraging, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
painful, because,
Yeah.
there is a lot of fear around, women and our breast health and things like that. And, I can't imagine thinking, what's going on here? So,
Yeah.
that's really cool that now, so obviously a few years, I'm not going to say how many have passed, but this same lady is your mentor now, helping you.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, she's been great. So I went to her throughout my growing up, and yeah, she's definitely helped our family out a lot. My dad still goes to her too. Yeah, and she's really invested in me, which has been just amazing. Like that somebody would take their time, out of their busy schedule and like to book an appointment with her is like she's usually backed up quite a bit. But she, I message her questions and different things, and she's, she always, takes the time to message back and help me out and stuff. And I've just really appreciated the way that she's, reached out to me, and I hope that I can be that person one day too.
I was going to ask, is that something that you're modeling, taking care of your family and building your business as kind of like, is that what you're taking with you too, is how she cares for others?
Yeah, yeah. She definitely cares for others, and yeah, I feel like I see that across the board with naturopaths. It's really neat to see how everybody's heart is really to see others get well,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons I love it too.
All right, so you're building your business and you're working with clients. Are there particular people that you're drawn to and are drawn to you that you're like, hey, these are the people that I'm passionate about helping? Who are they?
I do find that I am passionate a lot about people with heart issues, and that could be because my dad struggles with that. And so that's kind of been my journey of researching that out for him and stuff. So, heart issues and different things, blood clotting disorders and stuff. I also follow the root cause protocol. Um, all their information and stuff has been really helpful for me with having a way to share with my clients that's very practical, and it's not a ton of supplements, but it's addressing like these very foundational things.
So you said it's called the root cause protocol, which means you're looking for like what is underlying, what is, maybe one or two or sometimes even three or four things that could be causing our bodies to not behave
Yeah.
the way they should. And that's the beauty of naturopathy, right? Is naturopathy is not looking at one area of the body and saying, oh, we're only going to take care of that one area. Naturopathy looks at the whole person and says, where do we address, are you getting enough rest? Are you
Mm-hmm.
getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating the right kinds of foods? Are you,
Yeah.
are you having, whatever it is, are you in a stressful, emotional, whatever it may be, because that all affects the entire body. So you
Yeah.
also mentioned that you specialize, when we were talking, you mentioned before that you specialize in women's hormones. That's kind of a big area. How did you get into that? How do you help women with that?
Yeah. And part of that has been my own journey. So even like after, I struggled with that swollen lymph glands, growing up as a young person into adulthood, I did struggle with, health issues and stuff. I remember like going to different outings and stuff. And like I would sit in the car because I just didn't feel good. I didn't have the energy and I just didn't feel good. So that was part of my journey. And like when I started studying with Trinity and stuff, I started realizing the things that were going on with my body. And I found out that I was, I had some issues with underactive thyroid and hypoglycemia, and both of those combined were really interesting. But as I dealt with those and stuff, like I can test my numbers now, and they're like the sugar numbers are perfect, but I know that they weren't back then. And it's just really neat, though. It really does influence a lot of things, and even like the foundational things, nourishing your liver, giving your liver what it needs. For a lot of women, they need calcium, and I like to use beef liver. That really does help support the liver. Just trying to support the body in natural means the best that you can.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how you help women. I do want to do that. I want to go back a little bit, and I want to, you look young to me. I'm a little on the older side. So when I think and I look and I'm going, wow, you must have been in your teens, early 20s, dealing with these kind of health issues already at such a young age, where you're too tired to even get out of the car.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's just kind of like, we think of our youth and we think, oh, y'all should have so much energy, our kids. But I'm finding so often now that our teenagers, our young adult men and women, not just women, but it's like they don't have the energy. They don't have the vitality that we normally would think of. Now, that's not true of everyone, but I'm seeing so many more people with these challenges at a younger age. And, it's like, we need to look at, I think that's what you're doing too. And you're helping these women as you're going, let's look at what we can do now while you're young, so that as time progresses, you're not dealing with serious issues.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're helping, men and women, but women specializing in women's hormones. Now, you said something about testing sugar. So how are you testing your sugar? Are you doing the finger prick? Are you doing something in your practice where you're testing sugar? What are you doing?
So I'm not a phlebotomist, so I don't, draw blood and that sort of thing. But I have done that on myself before with the, just the things that you could buy at a pharmacy or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have done that before, but no, this is with just getting a blood test done.
Okay.
And I can order those, but I go and see another colleague of mine that will do them for me.
So for you personally, you're getting help, and then for any of your clients. And you know what? As we're sharing and talking, I would highly recommend that for anybody who is a natural wellness practitioner or even a medical practitioner, is to get help, beyond yourself. I don't know how many times I've dealt with something myself, and I've been like, my husband will come home and he'll say, well, did you take this or did you do that? He knows just enough, right? And he'll say, did you do this? And I'm like, no, I didn't even think of it, because I'm just not, up to par. I'm not doing as well as I should. So I don't think about it.
Yep.
So when you say that, I'm like, that's a really good, good idea to make sure you're working with someone. But you're saying that, as women are coming to you and they're going, I'm having these, hormone issues, and they can be so varied. We think of women's hormones, but it's like you said yourself, you said something about thyroid, as well as, what did you say, pancreas?
It was the hypoglycemia.
Hypoglycemia, which would have to do with pancreas health,
Right.
So when you get more than one thing going on, the body's like trying to compensate. That's one of the things I found is, if one gland gets a little tired, it's like the others try to help, so then it's not uncommon to have more than one. So tell me a little bit about, how you help. What do you do? How are you helping women with their hormone health?
Yeah. Well, I always go back to the foundations, and if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? The same applies to health. And so, I do the pH testing. I do Dr. Carrie Ram's pH testing. And with that, I can see the different things that are going on at their foundational level. And I can, with what we find with their pH, I measure the urine and the saliva. And what we find there, I'm able to better know what to recommend for supplements and stuff that's specific to what is going on in their body. So it's interesting how the urine and the saliva, unlike the blood tests where your body's, trying to maintain that homeostasis in the bloodstream, the urine and saliva, like that's what it is.
So we're getting, when you say that's what it is, we're getting, you're telling me then that we're getting like this snapshot of where the person is right now in their health.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like the body's not trying to keep that at a perfect level. The urine and the saliva, that's the bare, like that's what it is.
So the urine and saliva pH can change, but the blood we're always trying to keep in a certain range. Yeah.
Yeah. So the blood test, with it trying to keep that perfect level in there, it can, grab different minerals and stuff from the organs to keep that perfect balance in the bloodstream. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you can be deficient and not even realize it from a blood test because of that.
Wow, that's really interesting. So a lot of times, what I'm thinking about is we may be dealing with a health issue or a potential that's coming down the road if we don't get things back into balance. Now, you also said something about specifically, you're working with you're wanting to make sure you're working with each person individually, their body type, their body needs. Can you explain more about that for me?
So when I do the pH test, that kind of helps with that. I also do iris analysis, and that kind of shows different genetic and, genetic weaknesses, different weaknesses in the body that are shown up through the iris, the nerve fibers of the iris.
Yeah.
So not everybody is the same. And like, if somebody just came to me and said, like, I have this problem, is there something you can give me for it and stuff? For one, I don't prescribe, I don't treat, nothing like that. But if you're wanting a recommendation, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I'm not going to just say, oh yeah, take this thing. And, I'm going to say, well, let's learn a little bit more about you. And so that's why my initial consultations are about 2 hours long. And we really sit down and just, delve into what they're going, their health journey, what it looks like and what it's looked like up to that point, and get their history. And then we'll do the test, and I'll look at their eyes. I also, we'll look at the physical observations and stuff.
So when we say physical observations, what does that include? What does that mean?
Yeah, so I look at the different points in your face, in your tongue, and some on your nails too. Just trying to get as much information as we can about each individual.
Right. So really, and that's the thing is, like, I teach iridology, so I use iris analysis like you do. So iridology is just looking at the iris, the color, the signs and markings in the iris, and it can reveal potential health issues. So if y'all are interested in that, I'm going to have a link where y'all can go watch a little bit about iridology. But you also mentioned, so we're looking at the face, we're looking at the fingernails, even the tongue, you said.
Yeah.
It's giving us hints and pointing us to where we might be struggling in a health way. So you're using those. Can you share a little bit, because you're saying, everybody's different.
One of the things that you'll see a lot is some people have like two lines, like right down the center of their forehead.
Yeah.
They might have two, they might have one. People are going to look like that, and it's going to be, it's going to stay like that. It's not going to be like mine's. Thankfully, I don't have those.
I don't see any markings on your face right here, right now. So we may have to get really, magnifying glass. But I do know what you're talking about, and we see it as people get older a lot. But that doesn't mean that it's not there in younger people, right? And some people, it's like really deep.
Yeah.
So what would that indicate then if they're got these signs on their face?
So it's definitely something to look at, a little more at the liver, because it could be
Mhm.
retaining emotions. It could be a sign of a weak liver. And then another one to look for is like going like horizontally across the nose like that. It could indicate that you have some, blood sugar issues.
Hmm.
So
Very interesting. So you're going to take all of this. You're going to look at the person's what you call the physical observations, where we're looking at people. And you know what? That's really something to remember is that just 100 years ago, that's what doctors did. They actually looked at the
yeah,
person's physical features. They looked at their eyes, they looked at their cheeks, they had them stick out their tongues and looked at fingernails. That's what they did to observe what was going on with the body and where to support the body. And that's what we're talking about with natural health is you know um, there are so many different people there. Everybody's different, and yet we're going, but there are certain signs. The liver sign, the let's
hmm
support the liver, let's support the pancreas.
the
You also mentioned,
kidneys.
yeah, yeah, you also mentioned like emotional, like if there's this line here with and it's pointing us to the liver, that there might be
hmm
an emotional component with that. What
hmm
kind of emotion would be connected with that?
So anger, liver is the center for anger, and so a lot of times when we're holding in our emotion of anger, the liver is gonna take on that blow for us. So we'll see that in our health. It reflects so many things, but
Yeah.
definitely
Wow.
anger.
Yeah, so that's really cool too. Now, this is the kind of stuff you learned in your naturopathic training, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and you're reaching out and you're helping people to balance hormones, heart health, things like that. Do you ever work with them on their emotions too?
Yeah. So I do Bach flower emotional therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I incorporate that in each consultation, um, so that we are, dealing with everything. Sometimes people have a hard time getting over, they could try supplements, they could try lifestyle, and it's just not working. If it's an emotional problem, then they're not going to get through it until they deal with those emotions.
Mm. I know we've got to be broad. We're not dealing with a person and we're not diagnosing. We're just talking.
Right.
Okay, so somebody has
Yep.
anger. How would oh, you're angry. So what would you look at for the person, saying, oh, Bach flower? Because Bach flowers do support emotions, right? So we're not
Yeah.
going to have a class on that right here, right
Yep.
now. But we want to, say, hey, okay, well, you're angry. So how do you know which Bach flower would be best for that person? Is there
Yeah.
anything you can share on that?
So I would ask them about it, and I would go a little bit deeper and stuff, see what is causing the anger, kind of their story about like what's going on and stuff, because it could be even deeper than just anger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would be very specific, and so I would ask questions. I would hear their story, and there's different flowers for different scenarios.
Right.
So
So
yeah,
it's not just a Bach, oh, I have a Bach flower, or just take this. If there's a
right.
different Bach flower. That's really cool. What are some key results, some key transformations your clients have experienced by maybe using this? Let's get to the foundations. Let's get to the root cause. Let's get to maybe the emotion that's underlying. What are some things that
Mhm.
your clients may have experienced?
I've definitely noticed, especially with one client that first came to see me, like just his face was very pale. I knew he was sick before he even came to me
Mm,
because we know him and stuff. But yeah, just you know, um, it's neat to see the color coming back. There's some more energy. Um, and overall, my clients so far have been very happy with the results. So I haven't had any complaints.
Yay! No complaints is really good. We love that. So
yeah,
we started out, and I even introduced, and said, we're not the healers. Even though I'm calling this the healer's journey, right? We're not the ones that heal. God is the one who heals. He's the one who created the body to know how to heal,
Yeah.
And you shared with me that you have a faith-based approach to healing. So you're looking at this not just body, not just emotions, which are important, but you're also looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. And I'd love for you to share with me what that means to you and how that impacts you, your family, your practice.
Yeah. And it's always good to rethink that too. So thank you for asking. It's one of those things where, like, we're here for a purpose. Each one of us is, and we're here to do God's will. And how can we do that if we're sick? So, it's nice how it kind of helps. It supports doing God's will because you're helping the person to be able to. And in that journey, I'm very open about my faith and everything. And, I hope to share it with my clients as well. So,
yeah. So do you find that those who have like maybe some faith and hope in God to help with their healing process may, I don't know, because I don't want to make it sound like, well, only people who are godly and have this great faith are ever going to be healed, because, that's not true. We have a lot of people who are believers who may not go through the healing process the way we think they should. And, I'm even thinking in the Bible of, here's the woman with the issue of blood for 12 years, and there's the lame man and the blind man, and, all these people who, why weren't they healed sooner? Why weren't, and it's like, well, something needed to come together at a certain time. So I want to be sure that if you're listening and we're going, having hope, having faith, having belief in God, I don't want to patronize anybody and go, well, if they've been believing, because you know what, my daughter is right now dealing with serious health issues, and we believe in God, and we believe in natural health, and we believe in all these things. And yet it's one of those things. And I'm just sharing this right here because I just want to be real, like, we still believe, we still have hope, we still have faith. And her health situation has gotten very, very serious. It's gotten to be into a very serious situation for her. And, people could look at us and go, well, where is your faith? Or you're doing something wrong, or where have you sinned? Or, something like that. Is that really, I'm not saying that things can't cause it, but I don't know. How do you speak to that with someone who's going, I have faith, but I'm still struggling? How would you answer that?
Yeah, I would definitely say, and I have had that opportunity before. Our faith that we're called to have faith in is the gospel, and it's not in a promise that we will be, physically, without, any problems or anything. Like, that's not part of what we're promised. What we are promised, we do have, and that is, if you believe the death, burial, and resurrection, that's the payment for your sin, then you're saved and sealed. All those things that the scripture says that we are as a believer. So yeah, the believer and non-believer alike, like, we both, we both can be healthy, or we can both struggle with health issues. But for the believer, that's looking for hope, I always point them to look to Christ and what He's made us, and what we're here for. Those sorts of things, and not look at the things that are seen, but the things that are not seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those things where a lot of times I find that, just listening to God and saying, what do you have to say about this situation? Because we can have a health issue, minor issue, but the more serious issues, especially people who may be dealing with something for a really long time. And it can get disheartening. Like, where is God? Why hasn't God answered my prayers, or something like that? And yet God is with us the entire time. no matter what. He doesn't leave us. And so I just would say, I think we're both going, just hold on to the hope. Hold on to God created you, and he's there with you. He knows your identity. He knows your purpose. He knows, he knows all these things, and he's not calling you to use you. I'm not saying he's doing this, hey, I'm here to use you, but we all have that sense of wanting to be connected, wanting to have a purpose and things like that. And if you're feeling sick and you're going, I can't do it, it's not without hope. I'm like, that's really, yeah. So
we have the hope in Scripture.
That's right. We have the hope inside of us. Jesus in us is the hope of glory. And so I'm like, so I just want to, thank you for sharing that and just make sure that we're saying, no matter where you are on the journey, just have the hope, reach out, get the help you need, that kind of thing. So, one of the things that you mentioned before is that your goal is that you listen to your clients. You want to listen to why is that important?
Yeah, that was actually that was a principle I learned from Trinity. And I've really held on to that because it's so true. Like, if you're the one doing all the talking, like how are you going to find out about your client? And, we can only know so much, but we don't know their story. We don't know the things that they're struggling with. So taking the time to hear their story, hear them out, and will give us helpful clues to how we can best help them. That's the best way that we can help them, is by listening to them and their specific needs.
Yeah. So a lot of times people don't feel like they're heard. And then when they come to someone, because that's even something you said about your mentor, you mentioned way back, as she listened, she took the time, she stuck with me. And that's another thing to think about is, you said that was when you were 13 and you're still going to her today, and I'm like, well, that's years later, right? And it's like, one of the things that with the natural wellness practice, the practice of working with a natural health practitioner, is we're not here just for, because you're going back to the women's hormones, it's not just women's hormones. That's a big thing. That's a big area of how to support. But, what about, when they're in puberty? What about when they're in their 20s and 30s? What about when they're in their 40s and 50s going through, because you're going through childbearing and then the perimenopause and the menopause, and that all changes. So that's going to be something, there are different needs, along the way. There's different things. And that doesn't even count for the stressors or the injuries or the other things that might be going on that you can go to a natural health professional for. And it sounds like you have a really beautiful relationship with your mentor.
I do. I'm very, very thankful for her.
Is that something you want to cultivate with your clients, whether you're on the journey with them for, long term?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to have that continuing relationship. I'm a very people person. So long-term relationships are nice.
Yeah, it's really nice to know that you can go to one person, and here's the thing, as just want to make sure we put this little disclaimer in there. If you need a medical health professional, go see your medical health professional.
Yep.
We're not saying not to do that, but one thing that we have found, and I found in my own practice and with my own family, is there are some things that if we just support the body along the way, that's something natural health can do. And it may even keep you from having to go to the medical doctor for something if you're taking care of your health. So, yeah.
I heard it before that cancer actually takes 10 years to grow. And so a lot of times people don't find it until, the 10th year when it's actually manifested, but it does take 10 years to grow. So
that's interesting. So if you're doing something earlier, then you can actually help prevent that from becoming, that would be really good.
Yeah.
You also mentioned, Bernard Jensen, which I have a fondness for, because Bernard Jensen is the father of iridology in the United States of America. And he's not the father of iridology, just, he brought iridology, really made it what it is in the United States. And he says a good student is the one who asks questions. Why is that one of your favorite quotes?
Because I like to ask questions. Yeah, I do like to ask questions. So
does that mean, what kind of questions do you ask?
All different kinds. I mean, like when I meet somebody, I'm just like asking all about them and stuff. And it's a way you find out information.
Ah, good. So you're one of those who kind of digs. Are you a digger? I'm digging deep.
Yes.
I'm asking questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good for a natural health professional to have that kind of, I'm going to dig deeper. I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to find out what's going on. So
yeah, I actually had a client came in, she was a customer at the health food store I work at. And she just walked in the other day, and she's like, I'm like, how are you doing? And she's like, good, except for my cough and stuff. And she's like, I just don't know, but I know her from, past experience, like her coming in and out and stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's probably, your chemicals and stuff that you deal with at your work and stuff. And I was like, did you know that the kidneys are actually a reflex organ to the lungs? And she said, no, I didn't, but I was actually thinking about doing a kidney cleanse. Wow. And so I'm not sure why she was thinking about doing a kidney cleanse, but anyways, I was able to help her, to point her to a good kidney cleanse for her and stuff. And so she's doing that now, but yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
One of those things, it's like, I like being able to, it's almost like being a scientist, you're trying to find this discovery and digging deeper to find it, not just looking at what's there, but, trying to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it is, instead of just taking it for granted of, oh, I just have this, it's like, oh, that you knew that the chemicals that she was dealing with could be contributing to it, and the need to help support, because we're thinking, oh, that's lungs, but you're going, oh, but you might need to support your kidneys, because to get those toxins out, we got to make sure the kidneys are flushing them out and not recirculating them through the body. So, oh my goodness. So what are some key results or transformations that you have experienced personally as you've gone through your journey?
Yeah, so my blood sugar was a big one. Like I said, I struggled with the low energy. I also had a very hard time keeping weight on. And
weight on, not losing weight, retaining weight. That's what
retaining weight.
Oh, yes. Wow.
I was very, very, very skinny, especially before I got married. But yeah, I learned the concept though, and it was actually the writer was talking about in one of my books about how to lose weight, but I looked at it from the reverse, perspective, and I'm like, well, let's not do that and let's gain weight. So basically slowing down the metabolism through healthy fats, because I was doing a lot of protein and that wasn't enough. I needed to add some fats to it to kind of slow down the metabolism so my body could actually use the protein. So that was a cool thing to learn, and I implement that now. And then, switching all my sugars and stuff to more healthier options and stuff.
Yeah. I want to stop and just kind of stop right there and go back to the needing to gain weight. And because I have two daughters, and teenage years, early 20 years, they're very naturally very thin. And one of my daughters was like, you just could not, she couldn't even exercise because she would lose weight too much. It was like, she loves to exercise, she loves to work out, she wants to be healthy, but if she did too much, she would lose weight. And both of my daughters, had people say, meaning terrible things to them for being so
Yeah.
thin,
Yeah.
not realizing they weren't dieting, they weren't trying, they weren't doing all
Yep.
these things. And oh, gosh, did that happen to you too? Did anything? You
I
said yep,
didn't, I
so
didn't,
maybe
yeah.
not.
Yeah, but my client that I was dealing with, the same lady that had the issues with the lungs, like she was told by her doctor that she went to that she was anorexic, and she was like, I just can't keep weight on. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Wow. So I guess
yeah,
that's one of the things that we really do have to look at is, we do have to look at the individual person and their individual needs and what
yeah,
they're going through and struggling with themselves, because it's not always what it appears. What we
yeah,
see about a person isn't always
yep,
what we think is going on.
right. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, this has been really good, Priscilla. I'm so glad that you joined me today, and that we got to share a little bit about your
yeah,
journey and your your journey to helping other people and how you can help other people. So I want to make sure. Let me put my glasses on so I can read this correctly. I want to make sure that everybody, if knows where to go to find you, and you offer consultations both in person and you can do it virtually as well. Correct?
right. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
just won't be able to do the pH testing, but
right.
I can recommend to
You can do all
people.
kinds of things with,
Yep.
other information. Okay,
Yep.
cool. So the name of your business is the Natural Path, and
Yes.
we're going to have a link in the comments with your email address for anybody who wants to reach out to you. Plus, you have a Facebook page that people
Yes.
can come in and join. So we'll have the link to that as well. You have an Instagram account, Natural Path Health and Wellness. So do you give tips? What do you do on that? Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm actually meeting with somebody on Friday to figure out how to connect that to my other one. So there's nothing there right now, but hopefully
Okay, well,
soon.
we may have to say, we'll just put the link in the comments and we'll let people
Yeah.
find out.
I have a vibration platform that's in my office here. And so clients, I actually use it for my ionic foot detoxes too. I have a major difference ionic foot soaks that I do using the AMD ionizer. Um, so what I'll do before anyone does a foot soak, I just had one this morning, but I'll have them get on the vibration platform for 10 minutes. So that's all included in that as well. Um, yeah, and I give them an electrolyte drink to drink as well, kind of get things flushing and stuff, along
That's
with an
really
herbal
cool.
thing for helping with
So
with
what does the
some.
vibration plate help with? Just give us a little snippet of why would I want to do a vibration plate? Why would I want to do
Yeah. Yeah, well, my big thing that I love about it is it moves your lymph. So it's really good for like the elderly, but even like, anyone who doesn't want to go outside, in the wintertime or whatever, like we still need to keep that lymph moving and everything. So I
that?
really like it for that, but it's good for all kinds of things, and you can do like a whole workout session on it. Um, but yeah, it's really good for bone density too.
Mm-hmm.
So
So okay, so that's going to be for people who can come in. So where are you located?
I'm in central Illinois.
Okay.
So if you know where Peoria is, I'm like probably 30 minutes east of there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a little town called Roanoke.
Okay.
And yeah.
Very good. Okay, so if you've been listening today and you're going, hey, I would love to connect with Priscilla because she sounds like my kind of natural health care provider, someone who cares, someone who will ask the questions and dig deep and find the answers and help me get to the root of the situation. Be sure to check out her Facebook page. Again, that link will be in the comments, and we're going to have her email address where you can reach out to her for more information. If you're in her area, be sure to take care of that. Because I'm sitting here going, I have a major difference foot detox, and I'm like, I never
Oh,
thought of doing
wonderful.
a vibration plate beforehand. That's a really
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, because you want to get your lymphatic system moving. So I'm really excited to have you. So thank you so much for joining me. It's really cool that you're here to help other people. That's just such a blessing, and thank you again for being with me.
Yeah, of course. And I just want to say, like, before, thank you so much for having me. And one of the things that I would say to anyone that's listening to this, whether it's a practitioner just starting or whatever, I don't, one of the things that made it nervous for me, like actually opening up my own practice and starting, it was like, oh, there's so much more that I just need to learn. And,
Mm.
you're never going to come to the point where you know everything. And that's a healthy place to be. Um, we learn from each other, from uh, your things have been helpful and stuff that you post and everything. And, different, there's always more that you can learn. You're never going to come to the place where you know everything. And so, it's good to remember that the training that you have, you know, um, always remember that, like, it's those little things that really do make a difference. And if, a lot of people don't know those really little things even.
Mm.
And so I learned that through working at the health food store. It's been helpful for me, just these basic things that I would throw out there, and people are like, thank you so much, and it's like, oh, it helps you to feel better. Like, okay, I guess I do know something that,
Well, and that's the
um,
thing is, somebody you may have that bit of information that you're thinking, oh, that's not that much, it's not that big a deal, but somebody
yeah,
else needs it.
yeah. And you can
Yeah,
make a difference.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's so cool. Thank you again. I've really enjoyed it, enjoyed getting to know you, and can't wait to see you grow and help, more women and others, get their health back. So, thanks
Oh,
again. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's very nice to be on here.
Yeah, it's great to have you.